Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining in today. This is the pre-show. As you know, we don't start officially till 5 p.m. GMT. And we've got the lovely Tiia with us today. Tiia, if you don't mind, I'm actually going to ask you to pronounce your last name because I'll get it completely wrong. But what is your last name, if that's okay?
Sammallahti.
Right, lovely. Okay, do you get that, Muriel?
It doesn't matter. Just call me Tiia. That's
no,
fine.
That's great. Well, thank you ever so much. And we've got Muriel Gibbons with us as well today. So those of you who are joining us as we speak, if you could very kindly introduce yourselves in the chat, just say what you're really passionate about. And also, if you could just confirm that the audio and the video stream is okay. So there's nothing worse than finding we're talking to ourselves. So Muriel, on the Facebook feed and YouTube, can you verify it's all okay on your side?
Yeah, they're both absolutely fine, Rupert.
Good, excellent. Okay, that's what we like to hear. That's what we like to hear. So Tiia's has got quite a story to tell today, actually. So really looking forward to this conversation. And what I love particularly about your business, Tiia, which we'll talk about properly in just a moment, but the way I don't know is a fair way to describe it is it's a great business which is very driven by a sense of social purpose. Making a big difference, isn't it? And we will be drilling down that a lot more. So those of you who are joining us, if you just introduce yourselves in the chat, and let's just see who's coming in now. So we've got Vid. Welcome, Vid. It's welcome. Are you in the UK? Be interested to know. Just tell us where you're in the UK or whether you're somewhere else today. But delighted you could join us. I can see more of you are joining as we speak. So do introduce yourselves in the chat. That'd be absolutely brilliant. And we will get started very shortly. So Tiia, first of all, whereabouts are you? Are you originally from Sweden? Is that where you're from? Or?
Finland.
Oh, Finland. Yes. Yeah. Wow. So you got away from the very long winters and very light summers. So
yes, they're currently in Finland. They have ice storms and lots of snow. This winter has been horrific, and so I've been just enjoying this weather, even if it's raining and a little bit stormy at some point. But there is no snow and the grass is green and everything, so that's good.
Yeah, and I mean, there's one apart from being a beautiful country, Finland. Obviously, I imagine the summertime it's lovely there, and the winter, I don't know how to cope with what is the amount of daylight you get in the winter in Finland? Is it literally 5 or 6 hours a day and that's it in the winter?
Yeah, in southern Finland, like Helsinki area, then it's 5 or 6 hours. But when you go to Lapland, there are days that there is no daylight at all.
You're joking.
Wow.
I'm not, because it's the country is 1,200 kilometers long. So it actually goes quite high up north, and there are periods that there are no sunlight at all.
Right. Wow. I feel one of the things I'm desperate to see is the Northern Lights. I imagine Finland is great for that, isn't it?
Again, only in Lapland, pretty much.
Really?
So it's not something that we see in Helsinki. Really.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm absolutely. One day I'd love to go there. So I'm very envious. Anyway, we're going to get started, everyone, in about 40 seconds or so. So those of you who have joined us as we speak, if you do introduce yourselves in the chat, we'd love to hear from you. Tom is in sunny Cyprus. I'm assuming it's sunny over there. And Rick, delighted to be able to join us today. So that's fantastic. So it's nice to know you've got a bit of eternal support there as well, Tiia. So and you're from Southeast London, Vid, lovely, brilliant. And there's got someone said a Facebook user, but is that Daniel Kenning? If it is, just put your name in there, because we don't, on our side, on our platform, we don't know who you are. So perfect. I would say, okay, great. So I think what we'll do on that basis, we'll get started as we speak. So bear with me a second, just move that. And let me introduce Tiia. Get the screen right, there we go. So Tiia, welcome today. And we'll obviously introduce you properly in just a moment or two, if that's okay. So today's session is going to be a really interesting session, actually. And I've had the great pleasure of knowing Tiia for about 3-4 years now, and it's been really exciting following Tiia on her journey. And today's session is why work with passion to achieve your mission in business. And I love the word passion, and I love the word mission as well. So I think they're great words. So thanks for coming up with that one, Tiia. And just a little bit of introduction from ourselves to start with. As those of you who are regular with us each week, we're very much here to support you in your business growth. We recognize that running a business can be a very lonely journey. In fact, I think we were just talking about that a little bit before we went on air today. And whether you're a company of one or a company of 1,000, it still be pretty tough. And if you're a company of 1,000, then of course it may be that it's difficult for you sometimes to seek the be able to even speak to your peers, because there may be matters which you don't feel comfortable speaking about internally. And it's very important that we've all got people around us here to help. If you do enjoy these sessions, I would just ask you to feel free to share the page across your network, or the same on YouTube, and also either subscribe or like it. Would be really appreciated. But only, of course, if you do truly enjoy these sessions. Now, as far as today is concerned, also what would be really good is if you could introduce yourselves in the chat. Tell us a little bit about what you're passionate about. At the end of the day, everything has to be built around your why. And a real sense that Tiia falls very much into that camp. And I think, Muriel, you definitely do, don't you? With yeah. And tell us a little bit about why you do it. Not so much about what you do, it's more why you do it. And also be bold with your questions, because Tia's told me that she loves challenging questions. I'm lying there, by the way, but I'm sure Tiia
will. Love it. I do love challenging questions.
Oh, there we go. There we go. So we definitely go for that. And a little bit of an introduction from myself. I'm the founder of Business Growth Bureau. The organization was formed about 7 years ago. I'd like to feel that we're very much driven by a real sense of social purpose as well, hence running these live streams, which we started doing in March last year in response to COVID. It was our way of giving back, as it were. And also believe in the importance of circular relationships. If you make everyone feel really good about working with you and the other way around, and you show you care, and you also always trying to put people together and build on success, that's really good. And Muriel, I know you're very passionate in terms of serving clients and customer service, and you also, poor thing, have to deal with me, which I think anyone deserves a medal for that one. So in terms of we fundamentally want to be known to make a difference, but we also want to be known for helping organizations, whether it be charities or traditional businesses, to help them to bring themselves forward, amplify their brand, and get their time back. And obviously, as part of this, we can show you the how and the methodologies and systems to help you to achieve great results. Now, we're going to come on to Tiia's piece now, and which I'm really looking forward to getting into. So, Tiia, first of all, could you just give us a little bit of background about yourself? And obviously, you've already shared that you're from Finland. First of all, what made you decide to make this transition into the UK, for all its benefits and its faults as well? And also, what really sort of gave you the idea of forming, well, was what charity start with, but what impacts now? What were some of the key triggers for that? Be really interested to know.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me here. So I have a quite extensive business background in Finland, and I've been working in hospitality sector, doing a lot of PR, different kind of marketing in luxury and retail sector, and then moved into property development, which has been mainly like retail and hospitality driven. And but already quite a long time ago, almost 20 years ago, I set up a fundraising charity and this kind of female business women network who then actually harness their skills, their networks, and also their companies' resources to help out women and children through a very established charity. And from that collaboration, I was the chairman of that charity, and it just hit me that we could do so much with the network and so much with various resources like our skills and products and services and so on, that everybody could be, or should be able to find out how they could contribute with whatever they had, whether they are individual or company or working for a company, and also contributing in local level. So already like 15 years ago, this kind of a portal idea of a matchmaking platform was born, and social media was then only starting to exist. We didn't have Facebook or anything then. And so that's why we were talking about portals. And I didn't set that up in Finland, but approximately 7.5 years ago, I got my third child and just felt that, I want to have a change. I wanted to really harness my passion for my mission. And I thought that this idea, what impact is my mission? And I just didn't see it being implemented in Finland. I wanted to go to a bigger market, more kind of charitable market, kind of like more mature market in terms of CSR. And then we made a move as a family to move here. And I did my MBA here in 1 year, kind of a full-time course, and I really focused on digital platforms and strategy and sustainability in my studies. And then I started to kind of slowly taking things further. Then approximately 4.5 years ago, I put myself here full-time. I was self-funding the first 1.5, 2 years before I then found a lead investor, a female as well from Finland, which is, and then, we launched the initial platform called whatimpact.com. So it was only the corner piece of the big puzzle. So it was kind of like a TripAdvisor of the charity sector at that stage. But all the time, our idea was to bring to the platform also the funders, like grant makers and companies, and on the other side, the recipients, charities, which now have been extended to social enterprises as well, which is quite increasing and growing kind of segment of doing good with. So we are now a two-sided platform who matches these organizations, have transparent information, due diligence, impact reporting, and so on. And we are live now as What Impact.
Perfect, lovely. Now, I'm going to come into a bit more detail on that just a second. Thank you. It's a really good introduction. Now, something you were saying very much before we came on air again was this whole thing about gender bias, wasn't it? Which was really interesting. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so we can all see you a little bit better, Tiia, and then we'll come back to that screen because we're going to return to the key points. And I think something. I don't want to steal your stats because I'll probably get them wrong. Okay, but I was quite shocked by what you just shared. Actually, what are the stats of interest for the UK and also the US in real terms, in terms of women in business and also those which are successfully raising funding at the moment?
Yeah, so a little bit background that we are a technology startup. So we are a social impact company, but we are a for-profit company with our own social impact goals. So our own business model is very sustainable, but we are seeking for funding from angels, funds, and VCs, and we intend to scale not only in this market, but also other markets. So kind of creating almost like a LinkedIn for the CSR sector type of thing.
Nice.
So we need quite a lot of investment, to build everything and really get things scaling. And seeking funding is tough for any startup. You never hear a story where somebody said, "Oh, it was easy. Everybody just wanted to fund us." You have to go to hundreds and hundreds of investors, and you get no, until you finally find someone who might be funding you. But I don't want to kind of complain myself that there is a gender bias because I don't know the alternative reality. I could only know it if I could replicate myself as a man and have the same experience to compare. But the statistics show like a high level, like a government statistics and also like a VC world statistics that female founders get approximately 1%, 1 or 2% of the all VC funding and
wow.
Startup funding. Obviously, there are not only 1% of female founders. There are, first of all, female funding teams. I don't know the number in UK because I couldn't find that, but in the United States, there are big TED Talks that talk about that it might be 30% of companies are female founded, but then only 1% of the funding goes to these female founders. It's 90% almost goes to all male founding teams, and then a little bit like 10 or a little bit less than 10 goes to then mixed founding teams. So I don't know how this has affected on my concept. I cannot kind of complain, but of course, seeking funding hasn't been easy, and it takes tremendously time. The good thing is that, like I have now 24 shareholders in my company, very established angel investors, very high-level businesswomen who know a lot of people, and also, as I've been working in the UK now for so many years and created networks, that now things start to kind of flow. But I can really kind of, how would I say, empathize any female founder who is setting up a startup and starting from scratch.
Yeah,
because it is not easy.
Yeah, no, it's really, I'm very grateful for you sharing it, actually. In fact, I was seeing something yesterday, I think it was yesterday or the day before, not to do with women so much in entrepreneurship, but it was particularly to do with the legal profession, ironically enough, with lawyers and also barristers. And especially in barristers, even this day is incredibly biased towards the male gender rather than the female gender. And female barristers can have a pretty tough time. So I think you have to have real determination to be able to sometimes see these things through. And actually, I find that really quite shocking because, in this day and age, we are supposed to be agnostic. We should be supporting men and women alike in equal terms. And if we, there are many amazing women who are very successful in business as well.
And also there's evidence that even from listed companies, there are not, of course, lots of female CEOs, but most female-led companies actually do better financially. So there is evidence also supporting female leadership, and also, of course, mixed gender leaders. It's just natural. Of course, it's good that there are men and women in, doing things together. There are some inherent differences in us, like biologically even, and also, just sometimes the focus in women might be, or the angle a little bit different. So it's just like share different kind of opinions, different way of doing, which is always enriching, in any organization, in any level. So.
No, it's really interesting. In fact, obviously Muriel remembers this well, but previously I started a business about 15 years or so ago, nothing to do with Business Growth Bureau. And the only way of describing it is we had a bit of a problem in the end, unfortunately, but the business itself actually was really more of a social enterprise, but it started from nothing. Literally myself, dog, wife, cat, son, living at home. In fact, started in this room, actually, ironically enough, which, of course, are in Greenwich Park, or not really. But then it's really interesting. At its peak, we had employed 65 people, of which 55 were women, Muriel. Is that correct? Yeah? Yeah, we are muted.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I would say that's very close.
Yeah, and you were actually effectively my number two. You made sure, again, everything happened there.
Yeah.
I don't understand why a lot more workplaces, now this is another big subject we better not go on to too much, but I don't understand why workplaces are much more gender friendly, and also much more supportive of what I class as flexible working. In fact, I think we were told at the time that we were very advanced for our time because we had got that very heavy bias. Now, it wasn't an intentional bias. In fact, to the contrary, it's because we took a view of no bias whatsoever. But it's just for the type of role that people were predominantly employed for. First of all, women particularly liked that role, but also we had a number of amazing women in the business, as well as amazing men as well. Obviously, Muriel, of course, being one of those at the time, a key one of those at the time. But at the end of the day, and I think the flexible working was really important because actually there's some amazing talent where you've got working mums who may have taken perhaps a few years out from normal employment for children. And a lot of companies don't give them enough time and attention, but amazing resource, spend 5 or 6 weeks just on a bit of training and support. Then you've got a very loyal workforce who actually just want to do amazing things. So, very blessed. So I'm very pleased that we cover that point, even though I'm a male. I think it's something I also feel very strongly about in terms of equality and everything else that goes with it. So we're going to come on to some other points in just a moment, but just a very quick catch up, just say hello to a few people who are joining us. And I can see, obviously, already hello to Rick. Alex, welcome. Pradeep, welcome as well. Jonathan, nice to see you. And Karen as well. Karen is a lady, by the way, I texted just before this call today. So, and Alex, for that matter. So I'm delighted you've both been able to make it. Now, before we get into the meat of this, as well, what would be really nice is just to understand where you're at with the funding part of it. Now, I've obviously had the privilege of knowing you for 3 or 4 years, and I've seen, you know, what charity grow into what impacts. And I was just saying on air that I think the name change is a really positive move. I think it summarizes much more what you're about. But it's really nice to see how the organization has grown. You developed. Also, I've got the great privilege of actually speaking to a lot of your team, and I know you've got a really good team there. So, but this area, in terms of the funding round, and obviously, if there's anything here you're not comfortable to talk about, don't feel you have to answer it. But roughly, what are you trying to? Do you know what sort of amount of investment you're looking to raise at the moment? And I think you mentioned you're looking to go through some form of an angel network for that, aren't you?
Yes, so we have actually opened a new funding round now for whatimpact.com. We have previously had 2 smaller ones, angel rounds, and now we are scaling with the new funding round, and it's still angel funds at the moment. And we are starting to raise also with the big angel investment network here in the UK, starting from April. But we have now advanced share subscription phase for current investors and selected investors going on, which is quite a good deal, I would say, for investors. Because we intend to scale and really grow, quite fast and kind of conquer this market in a certain level with our marketplace. So that requires external investment. Although, of course, we are charging our customers, but when you're creating a 2-sided marketplace where you have to get the balance right, the offers, and then the applications has to be right, and so on, and also just get the workforce and technology development, everything in place. You need external investment, and we've been actually very efficient with all of our funding. Our burn rates have been low. We are a very effective team, and we get great thanks for every kind of client, and our subcontractors always say that, oh my God, you're so effective. How can you be so agile and fast and stuff? But that's just the nature how we operate. And like you said, we have an excellent team, and everybody who is in the team has been not only selected by the skills, but personality and kind of the motivation. We are, yes, a profit-making technology company, but we have the social mission. And the social mission is so important because I have seen it work in practice, and we know we've been developing this testing with clients, and all the data what we have proves that if this kind of a 2-sided marketplace product can be brought to life in a larger scale in the UK and everywhere in the world, there will be so much savings on company side and grant maker sides in costs of trying to find partners and doing the due diligence and everything. And then also on the charity social enterprise side, who are desperately seeking for funding all the time and other resources, and spending actually 1.1 billion annually only applying for grants, which is away from the beneficiary work. It doesn't make any sense that every single application process is so different, within the sector. It's the same like in startup funding, really. You have to apply to every single VC and fund with different forms and applications, and you're just like, oh my goodness, can't you just
use the world to live as well? And I think the investment side, I think you're registered under the Enterprise Investment Scheme, aren't you, as well? So if I've understood that correctly. And I'll just touch on this for a second, actually, for the benefit of everyone else. And I have to say, there's been changes going through all the time. There may be more changes in the recent budget. So if it has, then, and anything I'm saying here, do validate. But for example, my understanding is you've got the Seed Enterprise Investment Scheme, then you've also got the Enterprise Investment Scheme. With the Seed Enterprise Investment Scheme, it was about up to a 50% tax break. I don't know where it still is. And on the EIS scheme, it's about 30%, if I'm correct.
Yeah, so we are EIS eligible at the moment, and that's any UK angel investor, like a private person, is eligible to take that tax credit instantly. What has been a great favor for everyone who is invested, and of course to my company in general, we obtained over 300,000 Innovate UK innovation grant just last year. And that project is still ongoing. So actually, we haven't burned any investment money really to create the new iteration of what impact. Wow. And so that has been additional value for investors. You referred to the name change, and maybe a little bit background on that. So we operated 3 years with whatimpact.com. As I mentioned, it was kind of like a TripAdvisor type of a service that pulled government data from Charity Commission, and we had literally 167,000 charities on our platform. And then we had hundreds and hundreds of charities who took over their profiles and could demonstrate their impact and what they do, and people could then connect with them. Now we have, of course, the charities, social enterprises, but then also company profiles and grant maker profiles. And again, we pull even more data from government data sources. We use companies' house data, and we are really kind of transparent, two-sided platform. Not only matching, but also for impact reporting. So wow. When the partners match and they say that, oh, I will accept your application, I will give you the resource, and somebody says, yes, I will, take this grant or your donation. And then the charity or social enterprise doing the beneficiary work has to complete quite extensive social impact reports for the donor within a 6 months' time. And therefore, the exchange of the impact is kind of the key factor. And also you can see what impact other people were making or other companies, and you can start to see that whether you would like to maybe work with this organization or maybe do a co-funding opportunity or so on. So we felt that it's better to change the name from What Charity, because it's not charitable activity anymore. It's more of collaboration in order to deliver social value, creating an impact in the world. And the impact reporting tool, what we created, is in such an important role in our platform. So the name started to be a little bit misleading. And so one day somebody said to me like a year ago that, Tiia, do you understand that now this concept, what you're talking about, that What Charity doesn't really apply? And I didn't even think about it first. I was like, oh my goodness. I said, oh my God. And I just went to GoDaddy's website and start looking for names there could be. And I'm like, what about What Impact? And I Googled it, and suddenly it was available to purchase. And I was like, okay, I'm going to buy this. And I literally took 2 hours, and I went to my team and I said, I think we're going to change the name. They were just like, what? Yeah. And I said, when we launch a new iteration, this will be our new name. And they said, think about it a little bit more carefully. I was like, no, I don't think so, because it feels right.
No, I think this is the reason I've got a huge amount of respect for you, Tiia, because something that comes across is, first of all, you're incredibly driven, very, very driven. And when you make your mind up on something, it just has to be done, doesn't it? It has to be done like yesterday. And actually,
but I guess it comes from, it's not just that you would be like that about anything. And that's why the title, I mean, because this is my mission. I've dreamed of this like 16 years, now I'm doing it. I love it. This is my life. I breathe this. So that's why I don't have to think about something for 2 months, because I either know it's right or it's not. And of course, there are decisions I make with the board members or teams, and of course, but kind of like initially I have to know where the company is going. Yeah. I'm the founder, CEO now. Then it's such an early stage still that I really need to know. And then when we are now growing, then of course there will be more governance and kind of processes and stuff. But that's the thing. It's just that it has come from me, the concept, and I'm the guardian of the concept at the moment. It won't be that forever, because there will be a lot of other people coming on board and stuff. But at the moment, or till this moment it has been, but I have now great team. So I'm not interfering to half of the things anymore, even though it's still a small team, but I'm very good at giving space for people to do their own decisions.
Yeah. I've got, again, that's an interesting one, is because typically entrepreneurs are not great at being in the back seat, are they? So, and I'm speaking on behalf from me as well here, by the way. I'm not necessarily referring to you, because we tend to be very driven. If you're a real entrepreneur, you tend to be very driven. You're out there at the front. You're making decisions every day. They're not always right. Own up to plenty of making mistakes. We all do. But at the end of the day, we're very driven, and people buy into that mission and vision. And I think it's something that really comes across with you. And if it's all right, I think what we'll do now is we'll move on to this slide here, if that's all right, because this is the meat of today, although I think there's been a massive amount of value already shared today. So I'll just pick up on a few comments here as well that people have very kindly shared. So Vid has very kindly mentioned that Invisible Woman by Caroline Criado Perez is a great book that shows gender biased with data, which is interesting because it's always good to back things up with data. It means a lot. Daniel, what I might do with that in a moment. Actually, no, let's deal with that quickly now. Daniel Kenning's asking, I'd be interested to know which part of Innovate UK you have secured funding from, and what sorts of projects. I'm familiar with some of these, but not all programs. Have you got any initial thoughts on that, Tiia?
Yes. So Innovate UK, this is a smart grant which we obtained. So it's innovation grant. It's not COVID related. Because Innovate UK also now gave quite a bit of funding to COVID-related, challenges and stuff. But this is the ongoing smart grant round where you can apply every 3 months, and so we got that money, and you are demonstrating a viable kind of original idea. It's an R&D project. And that's why it takes a while, because we did very extensive research, and we published a white paper related to the primary secondary data, what we found, and then we start building this new kind of iteration of the marketplace based on that, and that work is still ongoing. Our clients who are now onboarded are actually like test clients. We are onboarding now. Any company, grant maker, charity, social enterprise, welcome to our platform. You get initial 3 months, to start with. We give a consultancy. We've been developing the product further, and our kind of tweaked iteration will be ready April, May this year. Because
it's not far away, is it? So
no. But it's a fully functioning. It's a big platform product. It is a huge product, and I'm so happy that we got the innovation grant, and Innovate UK saw the value on this. And it's a tough place to get funding. I think the success percent is maybe 5% or 6% or something in a smart grant. So it's not like given that you send an application and get something. So we are very proud of that.
Well, quite right, and good for you as well. So obviously Renato, Vid as well, thank you for your additional comments, and Nikki is so what we'll do now is we'll get started with a number of these points. So we'll talk about what are the key drivers starting a business. In fact, let's start with that question now. So what are the key drivers of starting a business? If we were to look at your set of circumstances, and what would you say some of the really, really good characteristics are of a true entrepreneur wanting to start a business in what is a very, very challenging times? What would you? Any tips around that as a matter of interest, or any thoughts?
Well, it's such a hard journey. Especially if you need like a lot of investment, that you cannot just start maybe selling a couple of products and then just grow a business. You have to have a lot of investment. You have to actually believe in what you do and have that passion, for your, whatever you're doing. And it doesn't always has to be social value kind of saving lives. It can be, if somebody thinks that the beauty treatments, are root for, better well-being of women and men, and blah, blah, that's fine. But you have to believe in that. And then you have to have seen some kind of a problem.
Yeah.
Something doesn't work. Some gap there is that has been annoying you. Maybe it annoys many other people, and then you suddenly have a solution for that. So the passion for the cause, and then you have a clear vision what's not working. So I think it starts from that. But then also I have a long background in business. I've been working as an employee. I've been freelancing. I've been self-employed, different kind of, and being a kind of a part of an entrepreneurial group and stuff. So I have a background of jumping off the payroll, also kind of just taking risks and maybe setting up something on my own. But yet again, if you're building like a technology startup, what I'm like doing, it is much harder than just trying to make a living for yourself as a freelancer, because you can always try to consult somewhere or do something, but you cannot do that if you're setting up like a startup, because you don't have time for it. If you don't put 100% into it, you don't have enough time to build it or fundraise and everything you have to do. So you have to be able to jump to kind of for nothing. So which means that you have to have saved some money, so that you can actually live, because nobody's going to fund you from the day one. You don't have a PowerPoint and show someone and then says, oh, that's a good idea, I will give you money. It takes a while. So you have to somehow be prepared to make your own living in the meantime, whatever that is. And usually you have to double the length, what you were thinking. So if you thought that 3 months I'll do it and then I'll be funded, no, it's 6 or 8 months or maybe a year. So you have to be ready. You cannot give up and start thinking that, oh my God, is it worth it? Because I could get £5,000 as a salary if I work for some company or something. They cannot be substitute. If you think like that, then you shouldn't do the business at all. Just go on a payroll, because they can, if you constantly think about it, oh, my plan B, or should I give up? It doesn't work. You have to be believer in that. But of course, you have to secure your back somehow. So, people have families to support. You have to live somewhere and eat and stuff. But what I found out, I come from the background of working in luxury world, luxury hotels, VIP parties, organizing all kind of things. That was my job, high-level property consultancies and stuff. So you cannot love that world too much, what we're giving up, because you will be a poor startup entrepreneur. You cannot keep up the same lifestyle what you maybe had before if you're investing money into that. So that's also the thing, that you have to love that what you're doing that much that you're ready to give up something material, unless you obviously come from wealthy background, that's fine. But I'm just saying that there are a lot of to be given up in order to then gaining what you're doing. But what I can say that, kind of this kind of startup entrepreneurship, like I came from quite traditional fields. I'm not saying marketing is traditional, but kind of PR and hospitality, property development, that kind of, they're traditional industries. And oh my goodness, when I jump into this world, in the London startup scene and stuff, and I'm just, these amazing people. I was just living and breathing the people, and what people were doing, and, and I learned so much, and I realized that, oh my goodness, I don't know anything about tech. This tech concept, and and I'm just like, oh my God, can I even set this up? Because I don't have any tech background, and people were just so amazing, and all kind of ideas and stuff, and it was so inspiring, and I thought I became like 10 years younger than just started to doing this. I did. So you can look at the photos even. I looked older when I was living in Finland than here, because I became younger from the
energy, and it's interesting because this age thing is quite a funny one, isn't it? Because there's a saying in the UK, or it's similar in Sweden, but as you get older, the policemen always seem to be younger, and also it's interesting as well. This about things is very much like this in this sort of tech sector in London, isn't it? Or forget about the COVID thing; that's another matter. But pre-COVID, you'd go into perhaps a WeWork or an office group or wherever it might be, and you'd have a lot of entrepreneurs with lots of energy in there, all doing their own thing and perhaps working together on different initiatives. But the enthusiasm, the passion, and the learning you get from that
that's a thing. Of course, you cannot waste time in just some kind of networking events, just for nothing. You have to kind of do the real stuff as well, because you have to move forward. But I'm just saying that, I got really inspired by also even like corporate reactions and stuff, that because of my idea, what I had, it resonated. And people were said, oh my goodness, doesn't this kind of thing already exist? It has to exist. And I said, no. And they're like, oh my goodness, okay, come and meet us and tell how it will work. So I'm just saying that, when you get that kind of reaction and people literally want to improve, this whole scene, this like a third sector, private sector collaboration and stuff, that was so inspiring that really, I just lived with that for a long time. And but of course, then you have to start to get like enough money that you can also hire other people. You cannot do everything yourself, because there are just you need other expertise, but also you have to be the CEO of the company and take it further, not only on daily level, but kind of on a longer term. And balancing that and, keeping yourself funded and stuff is of course tough, but now we are here, we are on the third funding round, and I have lovely staff, I have so many lovely freelancers, subcontractors, everybody's dedicated. I don't even think that they wouldn't work for me, because they're so committed, kind of, I know that they care about this like they were on a payroll, so it's just a fantastic community of maybe 20, 25 people actually that we ongoing work. And I'm counting my accountancy there, my grand bit application writers, the tech team, UX designer, graphic designer, everybody's involved in this, kind of constantly, whether they are on daily basis or once a month. But that's my team, and we really enjoy working together.
Yeah, no, that's lovely. I think the thing is with yourself as well is your passion and drive and enthusiasm is infectious, isn't it? And
I don't know.
Well, no, it is. I mean, look at it from the outside in, it is infectious. I think one or two of your team members are on this call today. So you can actually let us know in the chat whether I'm right or whether Tia's right on that one. That's if you dare, of course.
Yes. My COO, Vidya, is there listening. Hi, Vidya.
Right. I see the
yes, my precious right arm, and she's a true spirit leader, so yeah.
We've got Rick
keep up the spirit together.
Yeah, it's funny. It's an interesting point that Daniel was making here. Actually, says too true about time. However, in the absence of having a stash, there are ways to succeed. It's amazing indeed that when you can start without it, like an 80% pay cut when you get started. Actually, that's very real, isn't it? When you do. When you do actually start in a business as an entrepreneur, typically you do end up taking a massive pay cut. I know my income dropped massively when I first started Business Growth Bureau, and equally for some previous ventures. That's great. Now, Rick, of course, has said how wonderful you are, and Vid is saying exactly the same. Now, obviously, those £20 notes did a very good job before this call today, Tiia. But
Rick is amazing customer acquisition person, and well, it's maybe not the right term to say acquisition, but telling about our product and getting people on board, and he believes in this, and that's also important that you are not just selling something. But Rick is very committed and believes in the product and the mission what we have. So everybody is like that, and that's how it's supposed to be. We are not just a job, No,
exactly. Well, actually, I tell you what, we've enjoyed ourselves so much so far without us realising we've already dealt with probably a couple of questions on here. Yeah. But the other question I'd love to really ask you is about really the financial benefits of working with charities and social enterprises. Really interesting point. And of course, the other thing around that as well is it's something I really sunk home around this. That I was previously got to work quite a bit with charities, and one of the things I'd found very frustrating about the structure of charities is that the CEO in reality is very much driven by the trustees, because and it's quite often they're very much run almost on a committee basis, and which is very different if you are a CEO of a company limited by shares, in the sense that the director or CEO obviously has to report to the board, but tends to be much more focused on strong leadership, whereas a charity could be the other way around. You can end up with terrible decision paralysis, if I can put it that way, in certain charitable organizations. But as a matter of interest, how have you pulled these organizations together? When you've talked about charities and social enterprises, how have you been able to marry the two? And what are some of the things you've identified, particularly in that type of space, in your dealings with them?
Yeah, so we've been working with charities now for that 3.5 years, like full-time every day. So we know hundreds of charities ourselves, and we've been utilizing the Charity Commission database. So we've been communicating also with 100,000 charities, literally via email marketing and so on. So we know the pain points of charities, and like you said, yes, there might be that kind of structures, and that the CEO reports a lot to trustees, might be even asking quite small things, like a permission to small things. But then again, there are a lot of charities who are operating very business-mindedly, and it's not about the size; it can be very large or small. So there are so many charities that there are different kind of charities, and we believe that on our platform we have hundreds of charities and social enterprises already, even on the new iteration, and we had 1,200 admins in the previous ones. Those charities who are agile, technologically savvy, and can kind of collaborate with companies and grant makers quite in a flexible way. They are the agile ones who set up profiles, and also like our profiles on our platform of What Impact. They are very extensive. So you need to have a lot of data. You have to have your mission and everything thought through, your goals. You have to measure your impact and stuff. So I think the more advanced organizations tend to join us. And I'm not talking about, again, like a size, because that has nothing to do with advancement. And we have learned that as well, that it's about, how driven the people are they forward looking? And so we have loads of organizations who are, they actually, know what they're doing. And then, when we are matching these charities, or they be matched on our platform based on our algorithm, which is matching the organizations based on their shared goals and vision and mission. And we have, of course, other filtering systems. The companies and grant makers can instantly see from their profiles and also from the conversation what they can have on our conversation channel and due diligence process, what they can generate on our platform. They can see whether they are aligned, kind of with mentality. And in terms of, kind of, you were asking the financial benefits for companies. These are not just our opinions at all, but these are just even Harvard Business Review in January, February this year. They wrote a large article about corporate volunteering. It has direct effect on the well-being of employees. It has influence on employee retention, who wants to apply for jobs. Also, it's a lot of skill sharing and skills building. There are a lot of skills that can be learned from collaboration of charities and social enterprises, which then benefit the organization itself. Even volunteering programs inspire those who didn't take part. And this is already, we've seen this even in the University of Chicago, Illinois studies and stuff, that, that's the case, that people are proud of the organizations that do volunteering, although they wouldn't themselves volunteer. But then if you think about like a funding, corporates funding certain projects that they believe in, that are maybe aligned with their own like an operational model or industry that they work for, there is a lot of collaboration opportunities, which can even lead to these kind of shared value partnerships, which kind of is kind of borrowed from Michael Porter, the economist, which means that, the company could be funding a charity, get into their kind of world, maybe get into the beneficiaries, and they can maybe develop IT software based on the needs of their beneficiaries that they can actually sell elsewhere in the future. So they actually get access to the beneficiaries and the challenges what they had where they didn't have access before. That's just an example. So there could be even product innovation opportunities. Charity sector itself, it's a huge industry. It's not just the tiny local charities. It's hospitals, universities, all kind of art institutes, research institutes. We have to understand how big of it is. Even registered charities, their turnover is 76 billion annually in the UK.
76 billion.
Yeah, it's the same that automobile industry. So, I mean, if a company wants to learn from certain fields where the charities operate, and maybe do product innovation, that's definitely an opportunity there. But also then, if you kind of think about your customers, company customers, they expect companies to deliver value. Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't want to buy anymore from companies who are just like using resources and, making the environment worse and, not caring about the, how the products are manufactured. So, companies actually can gain loyal customer base, even from the end consumers, just because they collaborate and they give, I wouldn't say give back, but collaborate with charities or social enterprises and deliver proven social value in the areas where their customers actually operate or live.
Yeah.
So that's very important. And as a last point, I want to say that now there is a Social Value Act, which is this kind of it was almost like voluntary regulation given 2013 by the government. Government says that any kind of a tender that there is out there, has to be evaluated partly with the value that the applicant is delivering within kind of the local area. And but then a lot of government departments didn't really, it was like a tick a box exercise. They didn't evaluate it. But now during the COVID last September, the government enhanced it and said that every government official who is evaluating any bid for tenders has to put at least 10% value on the social value that the company is delivering within the industry or the field or local area. And that therefore companies can win now tenders just because of their social value activities. This means huge government contracts. And also companies who have won tenders in the past have to now demonstrate the value within the area that they are working on. And the social value can be demonstrated in various ways. It's about employment, social welfare, like local communities, children, also COVID-related stuff, environmental-related stuff. So then it comes down to the strategy, what the company chooses that, there are a lot of opportunities to give value because of the tenders, because of our customers, because of our employees and stuff. But then you have to start thinking that, oh my goodness, how do we cater all these stakeholders like with our social value delivery? And that's why you then have to have a strategy in place that you actually choose carefully. What are your investments for the value? What are the fields and industries that you're supporting? What kind of partnerships you're creating? And what are your goals that you're trying to achieve? And that is something that now whatimpact is consulting also companies with. When they're entering our platform, we have materials and coaching and stuff for companies who might not have a strategy in place yet, which will be catering to all these aspects, these financial beneficial aspects of company if they're choosing to do CSR.
Lovely. Well, thank you. Now, Alex asked a question. I think actually Tiia may have already answered that. But what we'll do is, if we got time, we might go to think about into a bit more detail. Alex, you've got a bit of a clarifying question around that, or feel it's not been fully answered. Perhaps type something in the chat, because also there's 2 points I still quite like to cover, and we're already running up against the clock a little bit. So what I'd like to very much understand is, you've said, as a matter of interest, philanthropy, and I can never say the word, is a thing of the past. Why is it a thing of the past?
Well, in that sense that, like any innovation, if you want to really improve something, it's comes from the collaboration where different kind of ideas and organizations, collaborate. Philanthropy itself, I mean, of course it's a beautiful thing, but it's more of that you come like you are kind of like giving something out of the grace, you want to help the poor and unfortunate, and you give the money because you have plenty, so, but it's one-way transaction. And one might say that, okay, then you give this donation and then the organization use it, and that's it. Of course, they might be very impactful organizations, but where is, kind of, it's not in that sense collaborations. It's looking from high up to down and just giving something because somebody is not so fortunate than you are in general. So what every big change that has been created comes from collaboration of private sector, third sector, government, and so on, different kind of organizations. And they are collaboration, type of collaborations. And therefore, both parties and every party is some kind of recipient in that. Like we were discussing that corporates, they couldn't invest so much in CSR if they didn't have anything that they're looking to get back from that.
Yeah.
So even if a corporate gives £1 million to a charity, like some of the big ones do, they expect that the charity responses, they give volunteering opportunities to their staff, they report back, they might be participating in communication, collaborations and stuff. It's a mutual partnership like any other, like a business transaction. And the more, kind of successful these partnerships are, the more the private sector will give. Right. As well, because they will get benefits. This is like old-fashioned sponsorship. I made my dissertation originally for my first degree on sponsorships, and this is exactly the same. You remember there was always companies, do we sponsor ice hockey, football, rugby or what? And then they were thinking, now it's more of a CSR type of thing. There is always some kind of an expectation to get something in return. And it's not that kind of a hedonistic stuff. It's just like, and that's why I said that these mutually beneficial collaborations are the key for more investments in social value kind of activities. And then the whole society, gets better, and we can cure a lot of, kind of bad things in the world just because of this. So that's why I'm saying that the philanthropic mentality is not maybe the way forward.
Perfect. No, thank you very much. Now, what we're going to do, Tiia, and everyone else who's joined us today, we're going to have like a 2 or 3 minutes where we're just going to cover what's going to be running over the next week or so. Then there's a killer question I'd really like to ask Tiia. Finally, at the very end, we'll treat that as a little bit of a wrap up at the very end. We touched on it a little bit now, but I'm going to be drilling down a little bit further on this in just a second. But I'm just going to share my screen just for a second. So bear me a second. So in terms of what's happening next week, in fact, actually, interesting enough, academy trusts of schools, I think they're registered under a charity framework, aren't they? But Chris Jones is a real expert in everything to do with leadership and also agility. He's got particular experience in leadership in the education sector. He was formerly a headmaster years ago and then set up CJ Learning about 7 or 8 years ago. And of course, he's had many schools in academy trusts come to him because at times like this, they really have needed to have extraordinary leadership and agility in terms of being able to achieve exceptional outcomes. So that's a topic for next week. And I must admit, I did have to look this word VUCA up earlier on today about volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And why mapping of territory related to that is a powerful way to visualize. And he's going to be talking a lot about how that can really tie in around clarity, trust, and shared purpose, and why agility under pressure requires renewed vision and determination. And I think crucially as well, how extraordinary change can result in amazing outcomes. And I know he's going to be talking about that a lot next week. One sector which, of course, has seen massive change is the educational space. So there's going to be some really good insights into that, which I'm sure we'll all benefit from greatly. And in terms of just returning to ourselves for a moment, I would urge you very much to have a referral mindset. Those of you who've enjoyed today, do interact with each other. Tiia clearly is an expert in putting different parties together and making amazing things happen. And we've talked about this a little bit more in the final question that's coming up. We've got a mini conference coming up on the 6th of April, which is a Spring into 2021 mini conference. And that's about bringing your sales forward, amplifying your brand and getting your time back. And a part of that will also be explaining how to use technology to achieve that. And we'll be discussing your ideal product mix and product portfolio, what you can do with LinkedIn to get results, plus it's things like email marketing and so on. And we'll be also exploring how Time Machine, Bizgrowth Time Machine, can help you to not only increase your sales, but to get your time back. And in terms of accessing all these good things, if you go to the homepage of our website, which is businessgrowthbureau.tv, you'll be able to register there for the mini conference. There's also an on-demand webinar if you don't have time to join us on the mini conference, and that's only 55 minutes. And you can sign up for future live streams really easily by going via our website. And if you choose the recurring option rather than the continue option, you can book in for multiple weeks. And the great thing about that, it just puts things in the calendar system for you and reminds you of what's coming up. And what you're very welcome to do is, as well, is to complete a sales and marketing diagnostic. This takes 4.5 to 6.5 minutes to complete, and you get a really nice personalized 8-page report on completion. And what you'll find is it really helps you to understand the gaps in your business. And finally, in terms of contact details, we're going to come back to that final killer question in just a moment. But just before we do that, if you want to reach out to Tiia, Tiia's website is there, whatimpact.com. Tiia's mobile phone number is there as well. And I did try and find out whether your office number as well, but the phone number there is 07468337176, and Tiia's email address is tiia@whatimpact.com. Because Tiia is obviously incredibly oversubscribed, you may find it'd be better to reach Tiia by email or by text to start with, and that way it's probably a bit easier to fill it in. But so obviously a big thank you for that. But what we'd like to do is just come back to this final question, if that's all right. So let's do that right now. So Muriel, would you like to join us as well at this point as well? In fact, Muriel, you're busy typing in some of the contact details in there as well as we speak. So thank you for that. You probably only could keep up with what I was saying there, Muriel, could you? But there's one lovely question. Now, we did touch on this a bit, but this whole thing about mutually beneficial partnerships is a really big topic, isn't it? And clearly, well, examples of that, you're putting two sides together through your fantastic technology platform. But not only that, in reality, Tiia, of course, you're doing all this work with investors as well. And in a sense, and correct me if you feel I'm slightly wrong here, in a sense, you've almost got a bit of a J-curve business, haven't you? Because you have to invest a lot of money up front. And this is why if you've got a mindset of running a lifestyle business where you're placing an income for self-employment, this is not what I'm talking about. A J-curve business is more one where you have to fund very heavily up front, invest heavily in the people, the technology, and perhaps the income stream comes a year or two down the line. But the entrepreneur, or in this case, Tiia, correct me if I'm wrong with this, Tiia, it's your sense of vision and drive that helps to see that through. And that's what's bringing in the investment to enable you to fund everything you're doing. So because you get to this critical mass after a year or two when suddenly everything starts to go the other way. Is that a fair summary, first of all? And how do you feel partnerships have perhaps helped you in context of what we talked about today, and also helping with the funding and where you would really like to take your business moving forwards?
Yes, so as I mentioned, that my intention is to create a LinkedIn type of a service for CSR. So we are the overarching place where everybody will have their profile, shareable profile, transparent information, and there can be a lot of other integrations to our platform. So we don't have to offer every single feature there is in the CSR world ourselves. Yeah, it's a very ambitious goal. And some people might be laughing at me and stuff, but I don't care, because I believe that our products actually can do it. And we have a very unique concept comparison to any platform product in the CSR world in the world. Well, there are a couple of things if you ask about the collaboration. In a kind of a private level, what happened, which is that my lead investor, who decided 2017 to back me up with quite substantial sum. Actually, she had met me 10 years earlier. I didn't really remember, but she was running this kind of big charity, saving the Baltic Sea, and a very high, high net worth individual and stuff. And she just remembered me being very entrepreneurial, efficient, person. And then she was introduced to me by totally different people. I didn't contact her. And then she just remembered what I was as a person when I was being employed by some other company. And she just said that she trusts that I can deliver. So I think that's something for everyone who is listening to know, that something that you've done 10 years ago might be affecting whether you get funding or not, kind of that. Well, it's about the entrepreneur. Yeah. It's about the kind of what you deliver, whether you're employee, entrepreneur, self, whatever. So, if you've been delivering and people know you can deliver, why couldn't you then deliver what you're doing as a startup entrepreneur? And so that's kind of one aspect of it. But then, of course, if you think about our phase now, about the partnerships, it's important that you find like-minded, whether they are companies or maybe they are umbrella organizations from charity sector, social enterprise sector, CSR sector, who share your vision and they come along with you. So we have plenty of like Social Value UK, CSR accreditation, social enterprise mark, these kind of like umbrella bodies who share our vision. And they are promoting us, they are helping us, and we are sharing their content and promoting them. We have also companies who are very big names, and I cannot now announce a huge international name because we haven't launched it publicly yet, but they are coming to our platform. And it's in their mission as a company, even though they're huge, and they might be thinking that should we even go and work with this kind of small startup, because they tend to go for like bigger companies. But it's in their mentality that they want to support SMEs and purchase more from SMEs and support entrepreneurial, spirit and entrepreneurs with their purchasing power. Because obviously somebody set their company up millions of years ago, I guess, because it's very old, somebody was setting it up and they were a startup in their times, So I think it's a beautiful thing that there are organizations who don't always just want to have financial benefits or think about that everything has to be big and beautiful and established, but they believe in collaboration and helping out and supporting and just sharing the vision. And I think that's the most valuable thing, what I've learned, that then you just seek for these partners, and everybody who wants to just get something out of you or suspicious or something, just say bye-bye, because you don't have time for these kind of conversations. No. There will be always people who share your vision if you are, after something good, and then you find the like-minded partners.
Yeah. No, lovely. Tiia, I thank you very much today. I'd love to be able to pick up some of these questions today, but in reality, we have sort of run over time a little bit. I would just like to give a couple of bits back, which I've taken from today, actually. I love that story about your founder entrepreneur, that it's a conversation that happens over time, over 10 years. And it's that relationship part that stood the test of time and has really sort of borne fruit. And I think there's several learnings in there, isn't there? One is never trash relationships. Okay. And also, for example, we're having a conversation now privately, internally with the Business Growth Bureau, and it's because of relationships we've established over 3 or 4 years that some of those, there's one person in particular, we'll remain nameless at the moment, where in reality that could create a massive opportunities coming forwards. Now, thing isn't always about business, is it? Now, initially it was. There was a particular tragedy which happened in this particular case, a very, very big tragedy, which I won't reveal anything about at the moment. But I've sort of kept in touch with this person. And because this person is very driven by a sense of mission and vision, but also commercially been very successful, it's leading to all sorts of interesting conversations now. So this whole thing about entrepreneurial mindset, being there for the long term, never giving up, never quitting, is very powerful, but also building relationships on depth. And I think on a final positive note as well, for me, is yes, the last 2 years has been really, really painful. Well, not 2 years, 18 months, been really painful, with this COVID scenario. And, for many businesses, caused unbelievable pain. It's causing unbelievable pain. But one of the big things as well is corporates, for example, are incredibly slow to respond to change. But small entrepreneurs running smaller businesses looking to grow, they're the ones that innovate. They're the ones that create. They're the engines of the economy. So basically, this is obviously clearly why the government's put so much money into this, trying to keep businesses afloat, is at the end of the day, they'll be the engine ultimately that will actually drive everything forwards. So they tend to be typically the first people affected by, any changes to a market. But then suddenly what happens, the entrepreneurial spirit comes through, that energy, that passion, enthusiasm, the ability to adapt and change, and that leads to amazing things. And I'm personally, yes, we got some big challenges, but I'm personally very excited about what's going to happen in the future. And I think, Tiia, you're a living, breathing example of that. So first of all, congratulations. I'd like to say very well done for your achievements to date. Really looking forward to following you on that journey. And I'd personally like to say a very big thank you. And also a big thank you to Muriel for your support today, although Muriel's been drowned up by my wittering, I'm afraid. But also a big thank you to everyone who's joined us today and raised lots of questions. And, do reach out to Tiia privately afterwards if you've got any discussions. So thank you very much. So what we'll do, we'll see you next Thursday, everyone. You take care, and we'll see you next week. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.